Okay. Hey guys, I just found out I was live. How y'all doing today? I'm trying to figure out if there's a way to find out, see any chat here. So please hang on a second. Hey, Landon, if you could help me find oh, here's the chat. I see the chat. So we're going to wait for guys to start to gather. Uh, if anybody can hear me, can you please? Hey, there's Jeremy. Cool. Yeah. Say hi in the chat. Tell me where you're from. And tell me something weird about you. How about that? Jeremy, I know what's weird about you. So, Jay, awesome. Loving Fearless. That's so great. We'll give it a few minutes. Jay, where's everybody from? I want to see some. Where are you froms? Jay, I don't know you, but if someday you're going to have to get you to a Fearless, here we go. We're going to have to get you to a Fearless workshop sometime. All right, here we go. I'm going to show this. All right, there I am. Cool, cool, cool. Okay. So as guys start to gather, well, I don't know. I figure I should talk about something, but I want hey, Landon, is there any way to find out if we got enough guys on this call to start? Or are we waiting? We're just going to wait it out.
Not that I'm aware of.
All right.
I don't see anything with numbers on it.
All right. Well, you know, what the hell? This is a unscripted and spontaneous talk, so why don't we just start? For those of you who don't know, this is probably only in the community, the Fearless community, is that after, gosh, what, 2.5, 3 years of coaching with these guys and another year or two or so before of studying, I am moving on. And that was a very, very interesting choice to make. So I'll tell you a little bit about that choice. And really, this is about all the things, because I find myself really grateful for the time I spent at Fearless, and leaving was, you know, it'd be one thing to say, well, it was really a difficult choice to make, but it was a really light choice to make. We just had I just had a good. We got 15 guys, so we can get going. That I'll tell you a little about that, and I also want to talk about, because I feel a lot of gratitude towards Fearless and where I got to where I am right now. So I could talk a little bit about where I was and, you know, what I'm doing now, and all the stuff that I learned along the way. By the way, if you guys have any questions, please throw them in the chat, and Landon can help me out. Nico G. Who's Nico G? That's not, we'll find out. Anyway, so I'm moving on. And it was a very interesting, this is a, you know, I wrote down a bunch of stuff that, about what I learned along the way and how I got to where I am right now. But if I look back on 4 years with these guys, 4+ years, where I started was I was around 61. I'm 65 right now. Oh, good. Harnor, we're going to, we'll talk about that. That, you know, I had in my life, I'd had, you know, professional success as a stage actor and as a writer, director in advertising, but I had never really figured out the women thing. I mean, I had dated and I had sex and I had been married. I was married for 13 years. And I have a 23-year-old son who I love a whole bunch. But there was this big gaping hole, which was real connection with women. And what was happening was I kept falling into, and I didn't know this was happening, that I was falling into codependent relationships where I was thinking that if I am a good enough person, and if I give enough and I put up with all the bullshit, that somehow it's all going to work out at the end. And, you know, because and because of the way I was brought up with a lot of, there was just a lot of tension in my house growing up that I didn't really know any other way to be, especially with women, because my mom, who I love dearly, who is, you know, at this time in my life, we're great friends, um, uh, that she was pretty tough. And there was a definite sense of, um, I was, what's the word I'm looking for? Emotional abandonment. So by the time I got to Fearless, I was like so nervous. I'd studied with Zan and a couple of other guys in the seduction and relationship community. And that was great. And so I met Brian. I go, wow, whatever this guy Brian, he felt he was really grounded. He was really clear. I thought, that's what I want. I want that. So if anybody finds themselves who's on this call, like in your head, excited energy that's going up and out, this is the place for you, because there's nothing like this work to bring you down out of your head, into your body, and into your feet. And that's what I needed. I was really creative. I was a really creative person, and I was a really charming person. I was a really outgoing person. But it wasn't really, I was, to the kinds of women I wanted to meet, I was not that sexually attractive to them. I was very sexually attractive to troubled women and to angry women and to women who were dealing with, had a lot of trauma in their lives, because I appeared as if I was the guy who, I'm looking at I appeared as if I had it all together. And so if given how I was brought up, if I could give enough, if I could show what a good guy I was, if I could rescue them, then I would be rewarded with love. And it feels a little sad to say that, but that's really how I lived my life. And yes, Matthias, yes, I'm leaving Fearless. It is, yeah, it's time. So when I started Fearless, boy, I tell you, the first time I did model work, they asked me, I was like standing in front of one of the models. There's energy flying through my body. I couldn't keep there was like, Brian called it static. There was just all this static. This is my image of static between me and you and me and the girl. And they asked me, what are you feeling? I go, I have no fucking clue what I'm feeling. I'm just out of my mind right now. And boy, from the first time, if you guys, for anybody who has not taken the experience, that really landed me in my body, because I really had to come face to face with all this stuff that was in me, which was revealed more and more as I went into more advanced workshops. This deep, deep sense of grief that I had been holding at bay all of my life. So, and this is a funny story. The second time I was in front of a model it was Fearless Man Live, and it was in front of Emily, who's now a dear friend of mine. And she's a longtime model with the group. And she looked at me, and so I stand up there, and we're in front of everybody, because it was a Fearless Man Live. So it was, everybody's watching. I volunteered to go do a demo, and I smiled at her, and she smiled back, and I chuckled a little bit, like, she kind of chuckled. And in my head, I'm thinking, okay, this feels good. I think I got it. I'm getting a reaction out of her. Getting a reaction. She looked at me, looked at me and said, you are so manipulative. I went, fuck, it was like someone shot an arrow through my heart, because I knew exactly what she was talking about. I had been playing this game with the world, which kind of worked in the world. If I was charming, if I was affable enough, if I took care of everybody, it was all going to work out somehow. And so that's how I started. I'm going to take a quick look. Okay, so Landon's got that. So at Fearless, you really learn how to feel more. And it's feeling from a very masculine place. For those of you who, we talk about masculinity and femininity, the masculine side, the feminine side. We're not talking about men and women. We're talking about your masculine is your solid, penetrating, grounded, containing. This is It's my gesture for containing space where we, when we're in our masculine, are containing and securing this relationship in front of you. And if it happens to be a woman or as a coach, it's the entire group. Now, your feminine side is your feeling side. It's your vulnerable, it's your nurturing, it's your softer side, it's your more flowing side. Fearless teaches this. Oh, by the way, when you this is something we talk about a lot. When you feel your back, back of your legs as they ground into the earth, you can feel the outside of your arms, the outside of your body. This is where your masculine, it's not as sensitive as the inside. It's the inside, it's the fronts and the underside. This is all a very feminine part. To really live a life where you are fully expressed takes both sides. And nobody like Fearless teaches the safety of feeling your feminine side, your feeling from a masculine perspective, from your masculine stance. It's okay. I'm sad. I'm really sad right now, but I got it. I can handle it. I'm not looking to be fixed by anybody else or a woman I'm dating. When you feel this, when you go out and talk to women on the street, or you just see someone you like, when you have the sense of I can handle it inside of you, in spite of whatever's flying around inside of you, then you are giving up any expectation of if whatever happens, you can handle it. Woman could look at you and just go, "You're a creep," or talk to the hand. That happened to me once. One of my greatest fears was a woman would just ignore me and just go, "Ugh." Finally, it happened. Finally, it happened, and it was great because I said, "Excuse me, I just saw you sitting there, blah blah blah." And she looks at me. She didn't even look at me. She just went, turned away, and just froze me out with this. Don't just go away. And I'm feeling this like, oh fuck, here it is. It's happening. I'm getting frozen out. I'm getting ignored. I'm getting almost mocked by this hand gesture. And it didn't hurt nearly as much as I expected it to. In fact, it didn't hurt really at all. I mean, it hurt a little bit. I felt a little embarrassed by it. But as I walked away, I just started laughing like, that was it? That was my greatest fear? So it's not something I could have done before. So as I went on, through this work, I discovered that my life was getting better. My life was getting more solid. I was less reactive to the world. I didn't have to prove myself to people or to women. I've often thought, and I'll tell you next about how and why I chose to move on. Because there's this sense that when you can feel your feet on the ground, you can feel your body, you can feel the solidity of your body, as opposed to my body being blown around in the wind. When I say your body, your emotions as well. You can feel your sense on the ground and feel your heart open. This is for me. I'll say for me, but this is what I believe is the secret to happiness. And I couldn't really feel my heart because it was too, before I started doing this work, I couldn't really feel my heart because everything was too dangerous. I would just rather distract with a joke or somehow some kind of distraction. And by the way, when I started, for those of you who have not read Letting Go by David Hawkins, you really should read that, because when I read that, I realized, damn, I have been suppressing and repressing my actual feelings, my actual desires, all of my life. I was a master at deflecting tension within me and tension outside of me. I should have been a labor negotiator. and or something like that, where I could have used my talents for things. Okay, hold on. I'm saying hi to say Metevi. How you doing, man? Post fearless. Yes, I'm going to talk about that. So, well, let me just jump ahead now to that, because the decision to leave Fearless was really interesting, because I was in the middle of ramping up for another year. I was getting my calendar together. I live in San Francisco, another year of travel down to LA and Miami and overseas, maybe, although they may not be happening this year. And I woke up and I realized one morning, literally woke up and thought, it's time. And that was a weird thought. It was an intuitive thought. Now, I'm going to back up just a little bit, because intuition, my belief or feeling for the formlessness, as opposed to like the form of thought and planning and preparing, was something that because of the work of Fearless, I started to feel in my body more. I could feel my emotions more. I felt more safe in them. I felt more safe in expressing them. And that when you can really start feeling more, feeling the world, which is where your intuition comes in. And this is where your connection with things that are formless, whether if you spiritually want to talk it, God, or if it's spirit or creator or the universe. Because once you start to feel more, then you start to feel that, like, it starts to feel very real. And in that moment, when I decided it was time to leave, the old me would have called 3 friends, spent 2 weeks talking to people, exploring all the options, doing a pros and cons list, all this insanity, which I would have done, certainly would have done in the past. But this time it was just like, oh, it's just time. No resentments, nothing. It's just time. So I called Brian that night and said, "Bro, I think I'm done." He said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "I don't know. It's just time." It was the craziest thing. And we had a great chat. And here I am talking to you guys. And, I'll probably do something with them again. I was really grateful for this ability to just be, and to be okay with the decision which rationally didn't make any sense. So what's behind it? There are 2 things. One was just the sheer amount of travel and being bouncing around so much, which I loved. But for the last 2 months before the decision, I live in a 2-bedroom flat, which I've owned for many years here in the middle of San Francisco. And I just started fixing it up. I didn't think like, oh, damn, next time I always rent it when I was away through Airbnb. And I thought, I need a new rug here. Maybe I'll paint this room. And I started and I realized I am preparing the space for something. And I didn't know that I was preparing it for something. I thought I was just cleaning it up. And one of the main things is that while I have dated some great women, and I'm seeing a couple of gals now, Matthias, I see your question. We'll get to that. I really wanted something really big, like a big love in my life. At my age, I was thinking, come on, let's get on it. And if it hasn't happened, then it's time to do something different. And that decision felt really good. As soon as over the last few months, this whole idea of this magic combination of feeling your groundedness and feeling your heart, it seems so simple as a way to be in this world. The danger of any self-improvement, when one has a teacher or a workshop or principles or context to follow, is that you fall into that context as a student, and you might leave that workshop saying, okay, I'm going to go practice all these different things. I'm going to practice being in my stomach. I'm going to practice being in my balls. Or today I'm going to be grounded. All that becomes a principle or becomes a context for, or it's still not the right word. The word is concept. There are concepts for living as opposed to living. And I started really, really feeling deep into my heart. And I realized, what if all I needed to do was to follow my heart? I felt like this surge of power. And then I thought, well, no, heart isn't power. Heart isn't powerful. Heart isn't changing. And I thought, what the fuck am I talking about? There's nothing more powerful than the heart. There's lion-heartedness. Courage is actually from a word from the heart. And this was a path that I'd been following. What I realized too, that if I was really in my heart, I didn't have to be anything else. I hope that makes sense. I didn't have to think about what I was going to say or how I was being or what I was working on that day. I was just like, I'm going to be in my heart. Now, what does that mean? It's a feeling of appreciation and expanding love for everything around me. It seems a little woo-woo. I get accused of being the woo-woo coach, but which is fine. But at some point I realized, wait a minute, I'm not woo-woo enough. I need to be even more woo-woo. Now, when I say woo-woo, the traditional way, like especially in the San Francisco Bay Area, there are woo-woo people walking woo-woo, peace and love and flowers and kirtans and chanting. And that, to me, is not what I'm talking about. It's a sense of being grounded on the earth and feeling like an expansion from your heart up to the heavens. If you're not feeling the ground, now you're just ineffectual in the world. And you're just you're floating. If you can feel your feet on the ground, and then get your energy up and feel something that's so much bigger than you, you get power from both the earth and from the cosmos. And it's not woo-woo for those on the same path. That's true, yeah. So that's what I'm doing. Okay, this is an interesting thing, and this might be helpful. While I was right around the time I started making this decision, I was also taking a 3-month workshop with David Nagel. Some of you might have heard him. He's like a coach's coach. Brian and Dave and a lot of us have, and Josh have studied with him. He says like compassionate sales, compassionate goal setting, powerful teacher. And here I am in the middle of this 3-month thing, every morning getting up at 6:30 in the morning, 15, 20 minutes with him, work on the goals, a new lesson to take into the world. 1 month in, it was great. And then all of a sudden I make this decision to leave. And I'm thinking, okay, I made the decision to leave. I'm going to give it a day or two. Then I'm going to hit the ground running with my own videos and my own Facebook group. And I'm going to get men. I'm going to create this community and all this. Nothing happened. I couldn't do anything. Every time I decided to sit down to do some marketing or build my client list, nothing. I couldn't move. I was frozen. So the next week I talked to David Nagel in a Q&A. I said, David, what do I do? I started with these big goals. Now you're in the middle of this 3-month goal setting thing. And I don't even have a goal anymore. My old goals don't make any sense. I don't make any sense. Now here I am waiting for him to say, okay, well, Sam, you know what you have to do? You got to knuckle down. You got to, you strap yourself in and recommit and re-go. The opposite. What an amazing guy. He felt my energy. He felt my confusion. He felt my, I was asking my earnestness, I think. And he said, this is the time in your life to ask and he called it your higher self. And I think you could say higher self, you could say God, creator, universe, whatever, your higher self, to show me the way. Show me. And as soon as he said it, I went, oh my God, it's exactly the right thing to do. And then he mentioned, yeah, and this is not a new concept. I mean, this whole idea of surrender. Um, and while he was giving me this recommendation, I was in the middle of reading the Surrender Experiment for the third time. So this is everything's all coming together. And he said, well, you walk around and you'll get little hits from the universe. They'll send you little messages. Your higher self will pick up what you need deep inside. Then he said, well, you also may want to, in your daily, commitment report, something that you write to yourself, what you want. What do you want? What do you truly want? That was part of the advice I did not take. I said, I don't even know. What if I didn't know what I wanted? Because what I want, that just might be my ego fucking with me, saying, oh, what you want to do is to be a great seduction coach for men, blah, blah, blah. I didn't really care. So for 6 weeks, I did very little. It was very hard for me to do very little, except every time I thought about it, I just said, show me. I give up. I surrendered. And this is the crazy thing, is that I had been keeping a little journal, just like not a very deep journal, just little scrawls. And I wrote down one day, I'd actually discovered that I'd written down the day after I had made that, I told Brian that I was moving on, that I said, maybe I want to work with kids. That was the third thing I wrote after making the decision. Oh, shit, I seem to know. That came up like 6 weeks ago. And as soon as I thought about taking everything I've learned from Fearless and Brian and Zan and all these great coaches I've had, what if I set all my coaches free? No more coaching for Sam. No more teachers. What if Sam had it all inside of it? Yeah, I'm talking about myself in the third person, but somehow it feels right. And I started. So what I did was one day I thought, kids, huh? Well, kids used to love looking at me. They just stare at me. Kids stare. I must have some kind of energy that kids like. Because like when my son was 7 or 8 years old, all his friends would just sit around and stare at me and they'd make them laugh. And kids on the street now stare at me. So I thought, what I'll do is I'll sit in front of my camera and I'm just going to make faces at the camera. And maybe I'll sell you. I didn't know, I was experimenting. And then I started talking in this voice with this character, air quotes, character that I'd entertained my son and his other 8-year-old friends with many years ago. And and this voice, this whole character came out talking about the Fearless principles to kids. Not great. And so now I want you guys to stay tuned. Hold on, let me check the time. Good, about halfway there. And I'll let you guys know, because it's going to become the YouTube channel is beginning to reveal itself. Also some workshops, I'm speaking to some teachers about how do you teach this idea of emotional intelligence, of letting go of story, how to feel more in your body, how to make yourself, all these things that we teach. How do we teach that to kids? And I've talked to a couple of teachers who are so excited about this. And we're going to start experimenting in the next few weeks with those two. So that's what I'm doing. It's like this crazy calling. I think it's just a really good example of me getting out of the way. It's not like I had this idea. The idea came through me. So I'm going to take a pause. If you guys have any questions, I'm going to go back and I'm going to see, because I do remember a question here. Okay, so Adnan, any tips or books for body language, facial expression? People always say I look sad or worried even when I'm not. Okay. The answer, my gut says, the answer to your question is not found in a book. Because the book may tell you Well, what you need to do is change your outer expression. What I think the answer to your question is that that sad, worried, numb is a feeling. I'm guessing that you care, that you live in. It's the sea you live in, and it is expressed or not expressed outside. So anything that has to do with releasing, revealing, really sitting, contemplating your body, contemplating your inner world. Asking, can I let this go? Can I be a little more free? Can you ask the universe for help? So I don't have any books on that. And by the way, I put my email here. If anybody wants to talk or has any questions, you can email me too. I'm sitting around thinking of crazy things for my YouTube channel right now. Yeah. Okay. Great. Landon. Yes. 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 What Landon said. Time for backpacker life freedom. Yeah. Yeah. Nico has mentioned, because this past summer I hiked the John Muir Trail, which is 240 miles through the heart of the High Sierra and through the wilderness. By the way, there's another thing that's changed in my life. My health has gotten better. The more, especially if you guys are getting on, the more you start to release and feel your body and be able to release all that heavy emotion, you can release all the stories that are holding you back, like, oh, at my age, or shouldn't do that at my age. You're going to get old fucking fast if you don't loosen up some of this stuff inside. So for me, I'm 65, I'll be 66 in a month and a half, in the best shape of my life. And I hiked 240 miles. I'm going to do another big multi-day hike, quite possibly the Colorado Trail. I'm looking into it right now, which is 500 miles through the heart of the Rockies, from Denver down to Durango, or maybe a couple of shorter 10 to 12 day trips. So that's cool. So yeah, backpacker, freedom life. Matthias says, Sam, you live staying grounded. When you stay grounded, you feel your heart and breathe all the time, like cosmic Everett. Yeah, if you guys if anybody doesn't know about the microcosmic orbit breathing technique, thank you for that reminder, Matthias, because it's something I could practice again. It's a danger to this kind of work, that because I was so ungrounded when I started, I thought I got to get grounded. So I kept pouring all my energy down into my feet and my legs and my gut. And for months, I walked around like a kind of a dead John Wayne, because I really wanted to be masculine. That was part of me. It's like I had this desire to be a masculine guy, until I realized about a year ago, it's like, I'll never be the most masculine guy. So I'm just going to be fucking me, and I'll be grounded as me. So to be grounded, all my ground, I was just kind of numbing myself out. So I guess I had to go through it until this microcosmic orbit, which starts to connect you with this earth, with the sky energy, which is expansive, which is it's a different kind of energy, which is of the earth energy, which is nurturing, which is fertile. So we come from the earth. It's like the Mother Earth and Father Sky, as Native American spiritual cultures talk about it. And if you can feel both, I include this Father Sky as, it's like I studied once, we're like martini glasses that come up, that we keep everything tight, our lower chakras tight, which are basically about survival and getting what you want and fucking. Well, let's keep those in check, keep them all grounded, keep them in check, but start to expand up from our heart to our throat and up through the top of our head. If you do that without being grounded, well, now, as I said before, you're just wandering around, being ineffectual in your own life. I suppose if you want to be a monk and you want to sit on a mountaintop and be disconnected, that's fine. Microcosmic orbit. Yes. What if you guys will practice that? I think it's really, really powerful. It's a way to connect your body to the earth and to the sky. Joe, yes, there's nothing wrong with being sad or worried. It's looking sad or worried as long as you feel good with yourself. By the way, I'm gonna shit that I talk a lot about the heart because I think this is where it's like we are Tony Stark, right? That we have the possibility that we, like Tony Stark, have this energy center. And that when I started to really drop into it, I felt like I had this fucking power thing coming out of my chest that felt so powerful, so connected, that I didn't have to worry about anything. It's just like, yeah, now I can be loving, I can be powerful, I can say what I want from this place of love. This is a place of courage, right? Courage, acceptance, peace. Courage, you ever thought about this? You've heard of the AgFlap chart. The chart start at the top 3 is courage, acceptance, peace. Courage is your heart. Acceptance, peace, as you come up out of the top of your head. And we're surrounded by love. Now, the more I fall into my heart, I get what feels like sadness, which makes sense because sadness comes from your heart, joy comes from your heart. If you have never seen the movie Inside Out, Pixar animated movie, Inside Out, see that movie. It's fucking great. This little girl has all of her emotions inside of her personified by these little characters. And it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful movie about depression and joy and sadness. And so sadness is, I know when I'm feeling sad, I like, okay, I'm in my heart. And right now it's kind of heavy. And I feel the sadness of the world. And I feel within that sadness, there's joy. It's what Inside Out is about, sadness and joy, working together to create something very beautiful. It's sad in the way that a flower is beautiful. What I mean is, a flower is beautiful because it's temporal. It's not going to be around very long, and it's real. A plastic flower will be around for fucking ever, and it's not real. And so these things that die are beautiful because they will die, and that means you and I are beautiful because we will. This is just we're just passing through. So the other day, I have to confess, I got somehow on my YouTube feed soldiers coming home videos. Oh my God, I am watching, soldiers surprise their families, surprise their girlfriends coming home. I am just, my tears are streaming at these eyes when I see these little boys see their fathers from across a basketball court come running up to his father, jump in his arms, grabbing him, sobbing. Such a sucker for that. I feel all emotional right now. Being present and being loving towards your emotions, powerful emotion release. Yes. By the way, if you're present to your own emotions, you can be present to a woman. And I guarantee you, if you ask any woman, what does she want from a man, is his presence. It's not his thinking or his all the scrambled stuff. The more present you are in your body, more present you can be for her, and she will, she'll, love it. She'll love it. You can't be present if your heart is shut off. You'll be there, you'll be solid, and some women will like, oh, there's a solid guy. I'll bone him. But for example, I'm kind of all over the place, but we were in Istanbul for a bunch of workshops this past summer. Some days were incredibly crowded. The Ixtaclac streak was packed with thousands upon thousands of people, and guys were coming back from the workshop. We'd been out doing infield practice. He goes, "No, you really need to punch with your stomach and really got to be loud because it's so chaotic." And I said, "Absolutely not. You are coming from the energy of the place rather from the energy of your heart." And I said, my experience was when I had this grounded heart, this calm heart. I did a whole talk about this. Look it up because it's powerful practice of seeing a woman and just saying, "Excuse me," in the midst of chaos, to say, "Excuse me," bam, with your heart. She'll stop because all of a sudden there's this container of love, container of love or appreciation around you. That's the stopping power of, I called it the grounded heart. Good. Daily meditations. Nice. I do have I will have a YouTube channel. My coaching channel is Sam Pond Coaching. I'm not going to tell you my new YouTube channel right now because it's not ready. And I'm just looking through other things. Good. By the way, you guys, a lifeless person. Sam, I've had the same experience. Kids seem to love me, but I have issues relaxing the same with adults. Why is that? Well, you probably don't expect anything out of kids except love and appreciation. That your heart is open to them. These kids are so sensitive. And you just get things are just getting a little stirred up inside in front of adults. Maybe a sense of expectation, validation. What I would do is contemplate while you feel when you're in front of kids. Feel your whole body. Let your body teach you so you can remember it, not through your head, but in your body. Like, okay, like when I'm talking to a kid or I see a kid, I feel, oh, this feels warm and God, my legs feel relaxed, whatever it is. So the next time you go out, it's like method acting. When you're out with human beings, just say, okay, what did my body remember about kids? Oh yeah, just relax. Try that. I think that, all right. Mateus, that's great. I'm glad you're getting some out of it. Just wanted to thank you. Oh, Igor, even though I'm younger, I just want to. Oh, yeah, we talked, Igor. Cool. I'm so glad that helped. All right. Looking through the questions here, or the feedback, sadness can be from looking at it from a place of presence. It's really true. Joe said, your presence. I talked to a gal today at a coffee shop. And I was feeling a little heavy. I was feeling a little emotional. I don't know. I just was in my heart, even though it was kind of heavy. And I just said something to her. And she gave me this beautiful, like, oh, I'm just working on this. And all I did was just be just the way I was. And she got very curious about me. She said, can I ask you a question? Why did you talking to me? I said, well, you're really beautiful. And the more I talk to you, the more I see how, you're beautiful inside. All of it was true. She was really beautiful. Oh, Jesus, I fall in love with this kind of girl, poet and artist, and very different than a lot of women in San Francisco. I asked her out and she said, I'm not comfortable with the age difference. Somehow I don't think that was the truth. I think there's something else going on. Or she thinks that's Hey, Arturo. Yeah, man. You stay in touch with me, brother. I appreciate what you're saying there. So that's about it. Clearly, I didn't have anything planned. I just thought it was just sort of wing it. I think what I would wrap up with, and I'll wait for any other questions, is to go back on. Um, oh yeah, that's right. Thanks, Landon. In case you're interested, the course being offered is called the Attraction and Seduction Gathering. Those are really great. That is not a workshop. That is like more like a conference where we have all the fearless coaches, including Dave and Brian, do a lot of talking, do a lot of demos. We go out in the streets. It's if you have not done any fearless work, it's a great introduction. You'll get a ton of shifts out of it. If you have done the experience, come anyway, because it's great to be back in the energy, and you'll every message you'll feel it in a different way as your life has been changing and expanding. So come to this thing. They're just they're great. Energy in the room is great. It's great, great, great. So what was I talking about? I was talking about, oh yeah, danger of self-improvement is that we always are trying to improve ourselves. The universe knows if you are out there seeking, the universe is going to look at you and go, well, he seems to love seeking. I'll keep what he wants just a little bit out there because he sure loves seeking. I'm going to keep him seeking. Whether you believe in the universe or not, I happen to. At some point, you may just want to stop. You may want to stop and realize that there's whatever teacher you take on, it could be fearless or anybody, that at some point you've got to remind yourself that you already know. I'm amazed how many times I've asked a client has asked me a question, and before I blurted out some answer, they said, I asked them, well, what do you think? If you were your own coach, what is the answer? Geez, 90% of the time they came up with a perfectly good answer to their questions. So we have to move on from our teachers. And when you do, the next one will reveal itself when you're ready. And right now, I've sworn off any teachers. All I'm doing is going inside, and I'm just going to deal with whatever I come up with. The Surrender Experiment is a great book. True story of a man who lived his life just surrendering to what the universe offered to him. And it's very easy, by the way, to read that book or to consider that philosophy, to think that it sounds lazy. Like, oh, I'm just going to surrender everything, and you're just kind of swimming around. No, we are born with will. We can make choices and take action in our lives. But what he chose to do is take action on what the universe presented him, as opposed to taking action on what he thought was a great idea. It is a powerful way to live. And it's a little scary because you don't I don't know what I'm going to do. What if there are no answers? Something always reveals itself. The secret is to take action on that thing. Because in that book, he'd say, well, I want to meditate alone in the woods, so I built a little hut. I come back and somebody else has built a hut next to mine. Well, I didn't, it's not what I wanted. But instead he just said, well, maybe that's what he needed. Not what he wanted, what he needed. And he did that step by step, entire life, lived a fascinating life. So anyway, if you guys do not have any more questions, I'm going to wrap it up. The Attraction and Seduction Gathering is March 5th and 6th. It's really cool. So come to that. My email's up there on the screen. If anybody have any questions, I got a ton of books I've collected over the time about love, self-love. What's the biggest thing you learned from Fearless and being part of Fearless? Well, kind of went through a bunch of that stuff. But I'd say I'm I'm safe. This feeling of safety, that I got this. And the more I did my own heart work, combined with that sense of solidity in my body, really has created um, a good a good life. Sounds like a Jim Carrey comedy. I don't know what you're referring to, Mark, but by the way, this is one of my practices, and I have guys who have problems opening their heart. I call it the Jim Carrey batshit crazy walk. And what you do is you walk outside and you say out loud, if possible, or to yourself, to everything that rises in your consciousness, whether it's a tree or a crack on the sidewalk or a little old lady or a beautiful woman, just express insane, batshit crazy, Jim Carrey level love for that thing. Now, at first, you're going to feel really embarrassed and stupid and like, come on, Sam told me to do the stupid thing. Here I am. Good. Embarrassed. You should feel embarrassed because that you're shaking something up. Embarrassed to yourself. And you may find, as I found, because I do this every once in a while, that you get a little giddy and that you find that you have a ton of love in there. It just needs to blast through the embarrassment, which is another form of vulnerability, ramparts, in order to go flowing through your body. So I might do that. One of the great, and besides this channel, I've been singing all my life. I play the ukulele and guitar. I've been singing, but I've never sung in front of an audience, not in years and years and years. And I've started singing in front at an open mic here in San Francisco the last month. Every Friday night I go and I sing a song. Everybody gets like one song. Woo! First time I did it, you could see my heart bouncing off my chest. But now I'm singing with like this passion, like with this heart, with this soul. I could sing before, but I didn't have the same feeling to it. Now people are coming up and saying afterwards, they say, wow, I felt it. I felt it when you sang. Or when you sing with feeling. Or that song brought me to tears. These are just beautiful things to receive from people. And it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't been able to feel, the safety in my heart. All right, so we got a couple more minutes for, oh, hey, Ray. Oh, sorry, I missed you at the last experience. I know, it was my first one I missed in a long, long time. What does releasing help you to be free of? I'm going to rephrase that question. Well, it's to be free of the anchor or the walls that is preventing you from living or experiencing all the beautiful stuff that's happening in your body. So you're freeing yourself of that part of you which isn't the real part of you. Life is a feeling, it isn't a thought, it isn't a concept. Even talking about releasing goes against releasing. If that makes sense. There's that famous quote of Michelangelo's when they asked, like, how did you carve David? And he said, well, no, I didn't carve David. I had a block of marble and I chipped away at everything that wasn't David. And that's all this. When you release, by the way, we stopped calling it releasing. It's more revealing, welcoming, embracing. I say it as loving. You don't want to get rid of any of your emotions. You just want to give them space to breathe. The more space you give them, the more you actually feel them and let them fill you up. They can't help but turn into something else. Suppressed sadness becomes dense, tight. It gets stuck in your body and it doesn't budge. So you create layers on top of it, a persona, in order to deal with this pain. If you reveal and welcome and love and release, let it get as big as it wants. Let yourself cry. Let your fear take over you. Now all that stuff that's keeping it at bay starts to fall away, and then what you're left with is just, you. Mm, It's a really fun way to live your life, because then you think, wait a minute, what? God, I haven't felt fear in a while. Whoo, feel my fear. That's like when I went up and did my first, even when I go to sing in front of public now, it's like, whoa, whoa, feel this fear. This is insane. Then I find part of me is like, got to calm yourself down. I go, well, no, what if I didn't calm myself down? What if I just embrace this fear and use that energy? Yes, Mark, but yes, it brings you to your authentic self, whatever the hell that is. Um, whatever that is. All right, guys, it is time to wrap up. Thank you so much for being here. Again, if you got any questions or want any more information about the kind of stuff I talk about, let me know. Put you on a mailing list or friend me on, by the way, I'm going to type a message. You can also friend me on Facebook, and I'm going to, when my kids' channel is, that's my Facebook handle right there. If when my kids' channel launches, I'm going to start sending it out because I want to create kind of a viral thing with it. It's pretty exciting, pretty crazy. All right, guys, that is it. Yes, we'll leave on that. Releasing is the key to happiness. By the way, I'm going to say one thing. The reason why we don't call it releasing is that releasing implies that we want to get rid of something. We don't want to get rid of anything. It will get rid of itself. It will loosen itself. The more attention, the more love, the more appreciation, the more we can let it expand in us, it will change and shift and turn into something else. Sadness will turn into anger. Anger will turn into joy. Joy will go back to sadness. Except you'll just eventually will get lighter and lighter and lighter. Great, Professor. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off. Thank you so much. Stay in touch, and I'm going to figure out how to. I'm just going to end the stream. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Take care.